Hello, my name is Daniel Stillwell. I am the editor of the IFTA e-newsletter, and we have with us today Alexandra Cintrón Oquendo. She is a doctoral student at the University of Puerto Rico in Rio Piedras, and she is the Fatma Reid Award winner for this year's IFTA conference. So she's going to be presenting, and she's going to tell us a little bit about who she is today, what the presentation is about, and her work that she's going to be getting a dissertation on or finishing that up pretty soon. So welcome, Alexandra. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah. So my first question that I like to ask people is, we talk to people or we read about people who do mental health counseling or clinical work in all sorts of settings around the world. And oftentimes the labels and the work has very culturally embedded nuances or terms or whatnot. So in your setting, where do you find yourself? What terms do you identify with, and what does that actually look like?
Yeah, so I would say I see myself as a community-oriented practitioner. I mean, student therapist or student practitioner because I'm still in training. I am interested in how people's mental health is shaped by the conditions around them because of things such as structural inequality or limited access to resources or social stressors. And in Puerto Rico, for example, many people and families face challenges regarding economic stability or limited access to mental health resources, or even natural disasters that could impact significantly our mental health. So by community oriented, I mean, I wish to work in ways that respond to those realities of many communities on the island.
Wonderful, wonderful. Your doctorate is in clinical psychology. The International Family Therapy Association, the term that we use, uses family therapy language. Do you work primarily in systemic ways with as a family therapist, or are you looking to be a clinical psychologist in your setting?
Yeah, so I see therapy as a collaborative process. So when working with clients, I try to understand their experiences and kind of like create a space where we can collaboratively set goals that
Hmm.
make sense in their personal and social context. But I also use perspectives from narrative and systemic approaches. So I pay a lot of attention to the stories people tell about themselves and the relationship and environments that influence those stories. So I kind of like my main focus might be more collaborative, sometimes solution focus oriented, but I also frequently use techniques from narrative and systemic approaches in order to understand and have that a more broader and systemic view of the
Hmm.
situation.
Okay. Well, wonderful. That's very helpful. Thank you. So the presentation that you're giving in Norway in a few weeks. What's the title of it? What are you hoping to convey and deliver and get people engaged by?
Yeah, so this presentation, which I am doing with a colleague and my former supervisor, it's about creative resources in therapy and supervision. Besides being a student therapist, I am also an artist. So this presentation, we seek to talk about how creative thinking and certain artistic skills can help me grow as a therapist, but not in the way of art therapy or doing something creative within the therapeutic process. It's more about the skills instead of like taking those skills and be able to translate it into something that I can do when I'm sitting there with a client. So, for example, I enjoy drawing and I work mostly with portraits, and my style reflects a lot of hyperrealism. And I also work with dry media, which means I use primarily charcoal, and it's a really, really cool medium, but at the same time, you can make mistakes so easily. So you have to be very careful when working with it. So yeah, when I'm working with an art piece, I need to pay attention, a lot of attention to details, and I need to organize my work, and I need certain structure. And I also work step by step or work in layers. And when we translate it into therapy, there can be similar processes because in therapy, for example, understanding a client's experience like often requires exploring different layers of meaning. So it's about kind of like again taking the skills and the maybe the mindset that we use while creating something and use it when we are within that therapist hat. So yeah, it's this presentation mostly seeks to talk about creativity and the way it helps us think about the interventions in flexible ways
Mhm.
and also adapt them to each client. And the interesting thing about this whole presentation is that I met my supervisor for about 3, almost 4 years ago, but he found out about my art last summer. So he was in shock to find out. He had no idea about the whole creativity and artistic stuff that was going on in my life outside of therapy. So yeah, I didn't bring it earlier into supervision, not necessarily because I was hiding it,
Mhm.
uh, but because I just didn't see it as something relevant to the supervision or the clinical work. So I'm bringing this because the main idea of this presentation it's about creativity and how it can broaden the way we approach the clinical work and also supervision. And it's also about using creative approaches, maybe like curiosity or adaptability to
Mhm.
improve our therapeutic work. So I
Wonderful.
think that is pretty much it.
No, that's great. It reminds me of people that I know who have a mindfulness practice of some sort and then can either introduce it subtly or maybe overtly, depending on what kind of practice it is, into their professional setting. In the States, we have trauma-focused yoga as something that I mean, it's hard to get training and specialization in, but the people who have it find the somatic processing along with the emotional and psychological processing to be very integrative. And so it's whether or not it's something you take into the session room itself, it's still going to benefit the therapist, the professional, in the work that they're doing. Like you said, sometimes those micro skills of looking for layers or connecting dots, or in the case of charcoal, turning mistakes into something beautiful. That's not something everybody is naturally gifted with, and so sometimes the practice ends up being very powerful.
Yeah, totally. And the interesting thing about this is that you don't have to be artistic or you don't have to be an artist. You don't have certain artistic skills. Not everybody has maybe like a creative self that
Hmm.
it's always working within themselves. But it can look like in a lot of different ways. Some people maybe enjoy storytelling. Some people enjoy music. Some people enjoy trying new recipes.
Hmm.
So there are a lot of ways in which we can be creative, and there are many, many skills that we can take from those activities and do something with that with our work and within the therapeutic process.
Okay. I feel like there are some natural segues to your dissertation work, but I'll let you make them. So you're not just giving presentation, you're a doctoral level student, you're writing, you're researching, you're doing all sorts of stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about where you are in that process and what you're already finding?
Yeah, sure. So, with my dissertation, I am working with Puerto Rican mothers within the postpartum period. So, I'm trying to understand the relationship between the mistreatment during childbirth, and we refer to also as obstetric violence. So, I'm trying to understand those experiences and the ways it relates to postpartum depressive symptoms. So I am currently finishing the data collection phase, and hopefully I will start conducting analysis anytime soon. But preliminarily, what I'm seeing is that there is a connection between having these experiences and developing postpartum depression symptoms among Puerto Rican mothers. So what I'm trying to do with this project is kind of like draw attention to these experiences that mothers go through during childbirth and understanding how necessary it is to make it a process full of respect and compassion. And hearing the mother's voices and trying to understand their experiences instead of maybe imposing certain procedures that could look disrespectful or can make them feel scared or vulnerable. So what I'm trying to do is like kind of paying attention to that relationship in order to maybe pursue a better quality in the services that we give to
Mm,
mothers on the
mhm.
island.
Okay. For those of our audience who don't understand the process of a dissertation, you do have to write a lot after you read a lot. Alexandra, what other international populations do you feel like some of the stuff that you're seeing could be comparable to? And maybe this is just, Caribbean, or this is Latina, or this is something, are there other populations that you see some similarities with?
Yes, I think Latin America has like the most broader literature on the topic. Also, I've been looking into a lot of research that has been made in Latin America about obstetric violence or mistreatment during childbirth. But also, there is a lot of information regarding the United States. And I've also found information about it in countries such as Spain and also Portugal. So I think these experiences during childbirth, specifically mistreatment or disrespectful experiences during childbirth, has become a global issue. And there are so many countries around the world that are facing this issue, and women or people that are able to get pregnant are facing these experiences around the world. So I think it has become a global issue, and it has drawn the attention of many organizations and many groups into the topic. So yeah, I would say primarily it started in Latin America, particularly in Venezuela. But I've definitely seen literature and information about this from so many different places.
Are you, and this we can wrap up on this. Some of the statistics are very sad, very even terrifying in some circumstances. Are you seeing anything in your work or even your clinical work where you're seeing hope, where you're seeing, all right, now that we know what's happening, here's what we can do about it from a therapy perspective?
Yeah, so from what I'm seeing, again, there is a connection between these experiences and the postpartum depressive symptoms. When I combine that with some other like legal efforts that have been made on the island to maybe approve some Senate bills that
Mm,
could protect the women's rights and the mother's rights within this process. I was also hoping to kind of like integrate these findings and collaborate with many organizations and including legal organizations
hmm
to maybe from a multidisciplinary perspective kind of like work towards improving the quality of the services that we are given to mothers. So that's definitely what I am hoping for. And also, statistically, just to give an example, the World Health Organization, I think it recommends the cesareans statistics to be under the 30% of the whole population. So not right
hmm
now in Puerto Rico, we are over the 50%.
Oh,
So
okay.
with a project like this, it also my hope is to numbers like that kind of like help bring them down again, in order to secure the overall health of mothers and improving the quality of their services as well.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. So, future Dr. Alexandra Cintrón Oquendo, thank you so much for sharing us about your work, and I hope that I get to spend some time with you in Norway in a few weeks.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Take care.